Because we've started off the campaign, we've been running the ads, we've got good state-wide recognition now, but today it felt like a drag race, and if you can see what I drive over there, from the standpoint of pulling out to the starting line, that's the feeling I had when we got on the bus, because this is one round of the drag race and starting the bus tour. But we're doing the bus tour not just to talk. We want to go out across the state and listen and learn what people are dealing with, what they think, because I don't have all the answers. A TV ad, it's a one-way conversation. I want a two-way conversation across the state, and really listen and learn from other people, and then take that to Frankfort and try to meet as many needs of the people as we can meet with the leadership, that we can totally change what happens in Frankfort. Because if you really look at it, on the Republican side at this point, you've got two politicians, same business as usual, or a businessman who's willing to take it on and totally change our whole approach to business. So that's what, when I'm elected, with your help, that's going to be the vision, that's my passion, and that's what we're going to be working on to totally change Frankfort. I appreciate you coming and being here. So this is the beginning of the journey with the bus trip and the next steps. Questions?
I have a question. You talk about pork barrel spending. Could you please explain what you mean by that? Pork
barrel spending in many projects across the state are good projects, and they're nice to have. But it's pork from the stand, it's for a specific community. What we need to do is take that money that goes for that kind of project and put into the education system. So it's the projects that are nice to have. It may be a beautiful park, it may be a golf course, it may be a luxury hotel. Let's take that money, put it in our schools, and get developers to build the hotels and the golf courses. Let's build the state with the education system. So that's what I'm talking about.
Why do you feel so strongly about repealing the AMT?
AMT is a very unfair tax. We have it federally, and now we have it statewide. And that tax is on business whether or not you make a profit. And the best example right now is Ford Motor Company. Ford is a great company. They're struggling right now, but they're going to have to pay the AMT this year, even though they've lost some $12 billion. That's not a fair tax. If they're making a profit, they ought to be paying taxes, like the rest of us. But if a struggling company or a startup company, we don't need to be trying to help them with incentives on one hand and sock them with AMT on the other. So it's just an unfair tax. We need to get rid of it and get back on a solid tax structure.
I think Paducah is a shining star for cultural leadership in the state, and I think they don't trumpet what they've got going on there. What can you bring from that community out to the rest of the Commonwealth?
I think the best thing we could do there is for Frankfort to facilitate Paducah sharing that with other communities. We don't need a bigger government of Frankfort going and telling each community what they need to do, and everybody needs to find what fits them best. But you're right, that has been very successful. It sounded like a really strange project to me, but it has worked great of bringing people in from all across the country, really, and now they're even talking about developing an art school there. And basically, this was an area of town that was very run down, in my opinion, looked like something we ought to run a bulldozer through. And they've come back and restored these into very beautiful structures. So you're right, but Frankfort needs to facilitate that, help where they can, and then take what works and maybe help Paducah build a road show to go to the other parts. But I don't think we need big government. We need less, but we need to also share what works across the state.
Mr. Harper, I've heard a lot about the Harper Report, and I was curious, as a business person, how did you get involved in education, and why is it such a passion for you?
Well, it started early on in the 70s. I was involved in care reform, a lot of things across as we went. 2 years ago, we said, we've had some reforms in the 90s, both in higher ed and primary, but it's time to really look at, we're not the only ones reforming. Other states are really doing some neat things. Let's look at what other states are doing, what has worked and what hadn't, and what could be some things that would help take us to the next level. And many people were involved in that report, both business people, educators, we had some national experts. They came in and we came out with 52 recommendations that would be steps. You never fix education because technology, so many things change. These would be steps that would start the process of really changing again. But it was just a kickstart. Some of them have been implemented. We need to implement more. And it's much more than just money, as I've said earlier.
Passion for small business, and I've worked on the federal level to improve federal procurement spending with small business. At the state, I have tried to work with legislators and with the governor's staff and trying to look at Kentucky procurement dollars being spent more with small businesses. And today, that